Welcome back. We're going straight back into Adobe Animate. This is part 2. We're going to be looking at the brush tool today. We're going to go create a new full HD file here, and we're going to go up here and drop down to fit in window. We're going to grab our brush tool, which is this one right here, and let's grab a color. I'm going to write some text, just hand write some text across the screen. So let's go with you choose. I'm going to choose like a blue. Over in our properties panel, because we've got the brush tool selected, we've got some brush options here. I'm going to stick with the circle. But there's different brush options. Oh, you can't really see that. I'm going to go put my size up, and you can see in the middle of my screen that is the preview of the size of my brush. For the purpose of this, I'm going to show you a couple of different options. There's 100 smoothing on this at the moment, so you'll notice that when I let go of my mouse, it'll smooth out all those edges, which can be quite nice. I'm going to go with a different type of brush. Get a nice effect from that. It doesn't matter which brush you choose today. I'm just going to stick with, actually I might go with this one. And I'm going to write my name roughly Scotty. I would like you to do the same. Write your name. Now, once you've done that, I want you to insert a keyframe. Now, I believe the shortcut for this is F6. So, what I want you to do is grab your eraser, and I'm going to get a fairly big eraser, and I'm going to change my brush to, should it be circle? Yeah, circle's good. And I'm going to go fairly quickly with this, but you can sort of take your time. The more keyframes that you put in for this, the better it'll be, or the smoother it'll be. But what I'm going to do, so I've got 2 frames down here. In the second frame, I'm just going to get rid of the end of that Y there with my eraser. I'm going to hit F6, and you'll notice down here I've got a 3rd keyframe, F6, and I'm just slowly erasing my letter. When you get to a part of your letter, you got to think about how we're going to animate this so it looks like it's handwritten. So always try and work your way around as if it was written. So you would do what is written last, you would erase that first. We're going to reverse this eventually. So F6, bit more, F6, bit more. Do a rough one of these first, and then go back and do a nice version. So with a Y, you would write a Y like this. So come down. So we're going to start from the top up here. F6. So every time I delete a part of that letter, I'm pressing F6. Now with the T, you write a T. You go top to bottom and then left to right. So we are going to erase from this side of the T first. And I'm going to leave, oops, I'm going to try and leave a bit of that. That'll do. F6. The shortcut to adjust your brush size is the square brackets keys to the right of the P key. So there's a left hand one, goes like that, and a right hand one. So if you press the left hand one, it'll decrease it, and the right hand one will increase it. So that's the shortcut for your brush size. So I've got to get in here. That'll do. I'm doing this fairly quickly for the sake of this tutorial. So when you write a T, you're down and across, so you erase it the opposite way. So we start from the bottom. I guarantee you'll accidentally do the letters the wrong way, because you've got to think about this backwards. I'm going to make my brush a bit bigger. O, we start from here and we write it this way, so we're going to go backwards. C, we're going to start from the back end of that. And finally the S. And then we're done. So we've got 101 frames there. So I'm playing it at 30 frames a second, so it'll go a little bit over 3 seconds. And if I press play on that, whoops, my bad. It'll be erasing my my name, just like so. But what we learnt in the first part of our tutorial series is that if we select all of these keyframes, and we can do that by clicking the layer and they all go kind of blue, right click somewhere and go reverse frames. Now hit your play and you've got a little animation. I stuffed it up. Oh no, did I? No, I thought my O then went around the wrong way for a second. Okay, cool. So I've got a little animation there, writing my name. What can I do next? Rightio. So here we are at the start of our animation. I'm going to make a little pen or a pencil or something to draw my letters. So to do that, I'm going to lock this layer where I'm drawing. So hit toggle the padlock there and create, and I might even just double click that and call this writing. New layer, pen. So then what we want to do is draw a little pen. So I'm going to get my black brush here. I might even get a brush, like just draw a rough brush. And on the tip of my brush I'm going to have that same blue color, so I'm just going to go across here with the blue, and the rest of it I'm going to use the fill tool. The fill tool can be a bit funny in this is the paint bucket tool, sorry. If where you want to click is where your arrow is pointed. So if I want to see my arrows right in the middle of the paintbrush there. If you're having trouble filling in colors, let me just grab, that's probably the wrong color, then there's a little option here which is gap size. It won't close it won't fill a space in if there's a little bit of a gap, and I'll show you an example here. So see how I've got, if I zoom in, there's this, oh, is there? Oh, there isn't a gap. I didn't do that properly. I'll do it here. There we go. We've got a tiny gap. If I fill that, it will fill. And if I click here, it doesn't really know what to do. So to fix that, I can say close small gaps. And that's considered not a small gap. Close medium gaps. And there we go. And basically you can just work your way up to close large gaps. And if it's bigger than a large gap, then you probably just have to get your brush tool and sort of fix that up. I'm just going to go back and see if I can fill in the rest of my paintbrush. Whoops. Alright, that'll do. It's rough, I know. You'll probably do a better job. If you've zoomed in, you can just go back here and go fit in window. Now, I probably want to get my brush. Oops. Here's another thing about Adobe Animate. You can select parts of what you've drawn, and it's created shapes. So what we are going to do is select it all. So drag over it like this and it all goes dotty. Right click on it, and we are going to create paintbrush would be that's what we're doing, but that's not what you want to do. You want to do create, convert to symbol, sorry. Convert to symbol. We can call this paintbrush. And we don't need to worry about any of that. Just leave it as is. And there we have a paintbrush that we can move around and resize to our heart's content. This little white dot here is where the brush will rotate. So if I want to rotate it, it'll rotate around that little white dot. I'm going to leave it right on the tip of the paintbrush because I might end up rotating my paintbrush as I'm moving it around. Now, what we need to do, we've got this is just one long frame right here. So we need to click and drag. So I'll start that again. We want frame number 1 left unselected. So we need to click and drag on frame number 2. But don't click and drag and hold it because it'll move around. You don't want that. So you want it to be deselected to start with. Just click anywhere else, can be anywhere. And then click and drag while you're holding your mouse button down, and you see that from frame 2 I'm selecting all of that. Okay, and then right click it, remove frames. So now we've just got a frame at the start of our animation. I should have got it in the right spot actually. Anyway. Oh well. And same again, if we hit F6. Okay, so I tried to hit F6 then, but it didn't work. So you have to select that frame, hit F6, and you can move it. Oh, we want to be there. So I'm going to just make sure my brush is in the right spot to start. Oh, that kind of looks cool. And what we're going to do is if I select that one and hit F6, and I can keep moving my brush around, F6, and as what's happening is I'm creating keyframes here on top of where my letters are being written every time I hit F6. Oops. Now, here's a good, I'm glad this happened just then, because you'll notice that it's not a symbol anymore. What I accidentally did was double clicked on the symbol. You'll probably end up doing that too. If you double click on the symbol and you can't move it, all you need to do is hit that arrow. So what happens when you double click on a symbol, it means I can go inside of that object and edit it and do whatever, and then go back outside, and you'll see that my changes to that object have occurred in every keyframe that I've used it. So I'm just going to Control Z that. It's really handy. We'll use that quite a bit later on when our animations get more complicated. But yeah, be mindful of that. Watch out for the double click. To rotate your brush, just hover outside one of the square handles. Remember, you can use your arrow keys if you want to get real precise. I'm going to finish this right now, and I'm going to speed this up and finish it, and I'll be back very shortly. Okay, so I've just got to the end, and I'm just going to kind of hit F6 and take my paintbrush off screen, and then let's have a look. Beautiful. Okay. All right. With the, I'm going to get the color. I'm just going to write productions underneath this, so I could have it at the start of one of my videos if I wanted to. Really quick and easy animation that we could do. If I select this color here, I can actually, it'll give me an eyedropper, and you'll notice that when I'm moving over the screen with the eyedropper, it changes the color down here in this little tab in the little preview. So I can just grab that. I'm just going to write productions in. And if I wasn't doing this tutorial, I'd probably spend a little bit more time making it look a bit better, but I don't want to spend all day fixing that. Scotty Productions, and I'm going to hit F6. So I've got one frame of that right now. I'm going to hit F6 a few times so it just lingers there. So what, a few frames, see what that looks like. It's cool. Very quick and easy animation. I could, if I wanted to, put a background in, like I could make this lined paper in the background. How I would do that is grab a new layer, go background, double click to rename your layers, by the way, and then drag that underneath, and then I could put, you know, an image in there or something like that. One question I got asked today about doing a background is a person did like some hills, so they got some green and did some hills, let's just say like this, and make sure that gap's closed there, and then went to fill it in and no good. The reason why is because Flash, so old school, this program used to be called Flash. Animate actually wants you to fill in an object even if it's outside of the canvas. So you'll just need to, and it doesn't even need to be really that neat. Did I get that? And then you'll be able to mustn't have got it down here. Okay, I just zoomed out a bit and I didn't get it down here. And it doesn't have to be neat if it's for just a background. I could have used my line tool there. For the purpose of this, that'll do. And if I wanted to put a nice blue sky in, I can go off that because it's in the same layer. I could go just there and fill that, hopefully. Excellent. And it's messy all around the outside, but when I go to preview it, where the canvas cuts off, it'll cut that off and look nice and neat, even though my drawing doesn't look very nice and neat of those hills. But yeah, you can give it a background if you want to. Up to you. Nice. Stick around for part 3.